Hello, everyone, and welcome along to an immediate post-match reaction to Rangers 2, Dundee United 1. My name is Craig Dennett, and I'm your host for this evening. I'm joined by one person who was at the game. Kyle, how are you doing?
Not too sure after that, to be honest with you. It was a win and 3 points, and I think that's all you can really say about it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think we'll dig a bit deeper into it than that. We're not just going to log off straight from that analysis. And one person who was unfortunately not at the game because he was dog sitting, but Shug, how are you doing?
Yeah, I thought unfortunately, but after watching that, I'm thinking fortunately, not stuck in the car on the M77 just now, so because it's a small win in a way, just like today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just get stuck straight into the game. Kyle, just from an overall being in the stadium view of the game, how did you find it as a game overall?
Well, if we're talking purely about the game, I would say the first 10 minutes were very encouraging. We seemed to be, I know I said to you that we were hungry, we looked full of desire, we were chasing the ball down, the press seemed to be high. And then after that, it just, for lack of a better word, it just all went to shit, didn't it? It was no, we just totally lost any lack of desire. I felt after that, it was very lethargic, very sluggish. It was an 80-minute slog against Dundee United, which just shouldn't be happening from a Rangers squad, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, sure. Looking from the I guess comfort of your own couch, how did it look any different, or was it much the same as Kyle's? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's as Kyle said, we started off, we should have been 3 up when Cholak scored the first, but should have been three already. But as soon as we scored, it was like, oh well, we'll just sit within ourselves again. And then it started second half. We started strong again, got the goal, and then it's just sit within yourself again. It doesn't seem a desire to just keep going and keep going. It's disappointing. But saying that, we did miss quite a lot of sitters today, which is even more disappointing.
Yeah, and I think some of those are easy to forget. So we'll touch on those a wee bit as we go through the game. But I actually want to, Chug, I'm going to stick with you to start with. Before the game, there was obviously the minute silence in memory of the Queen Elizabeth II. It was the second time it's been held at Ibrox this week. Obviously, the first time we've had a league game since it happened. It was massively disrupted by Dundee United fans, massively disrespectful from them. Dundee United we were listening to the radio on the way back, Dundee United come out with a very nothing statement. I think it's fair to say. They don't actually say anything in it. They say they're aware that that the minute silence was disrupted by a small section of their fans. They say that they tried to reach out to their fans beforehand to let them know they expected the minute silence to be respected, and then that was the end of the statement. There was no condemnation. There was no we apologise. There was none of that. It was literally a yeah, we know it was disrupted, and we tried to ask our fans not to. Statement done. It's a shame to see that, isn't it? But I don't think it was unexpected in any way.
No, it's not unexpected. I like when I see a small section of the fans. They've only got a small section. They've only got a few hundred fans there. So, like, how small? It was more than one person. So it was obviously more than just a small section of that group that were involved in it. It's the disappointing thing for me more than anything is that I think they do it because they're playing Rangers. I think if it's any other game, then they would just respect it. But I think they just automatically, because it's Rangers, it's like, now we're going to do this to try and upset Rangers fans and things. And it's just the lack of respect and inhumanity of people. It's unbelievable. I mean, just be quiet for 60 seconds. Don't expect you to all of a sudden worship the Queen or something like that, but just have a bit of decency, a bit of human decency, and just shut up for 60 seconds and then go on and do whatever you like after that. But it's so disappointing in this day and age. And I mean, we all laugh at, well, not laugh, but we're all disappointed and disgusted by them across the road and their banners and things like that. But I mean, some of the other clubs in Scotland are equally shameful at times to these.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, it seemed to almost invigorate, it definitely invigorated the crowd, but it seemed to invigorate the team as well in that first 10 minutes. We created a few chances. Ryan Kent, I think it was just a couple of minutes into the game, Ryan Kent had a chance on his left foot that he kind of sclaffed and didn't get a proper connection on. Then Scott Arfield had a chance that on his left foot again, that he got right underneath and it just flew wide of the goal. And then I think it was 8 minutes in, might have been 9 minutes. Antonio Cholak gets us in front. Great work from James Tavernier down the right hand side, stealing the ball off the Dundee United winger near our own box, driving up, pulling the ball back inside to the edge of the box to Cholak, who does what Cholak does, I guess now. 9 goals in 13 games for Rangers. It was an impressive goal, but I think going back to the reaction to that minute's silence that was interrupted, the players certainly gave it some in the celebration as well, didn't they?
Yeah, it was fantastic to see the celebrations. I mean, I think for my own 2 cents in the minute silence, obviously it'd been a disgrace, but I've got to commend the Rangers supporters in that moment as well, that nobody reacted to it. I think Shugs hit the nail on the absolute head there in terms of if it was any other club in Scotland, they wouldn't be doing it. But as I said, we kept the Rangers supporters kept their cool, kept their composure. Talking about the 2 chances before the goal, absolute sitters. Both should have been goals for me. I think I said to you at the time, if that ball falls to anybody in the box, you're wanting it to be Scott Arfield to score maybe similar sort of goals against Queen of the South. And talking about the Cholak goal itself, it was that goal was made from Tavernier sort of anticipation, and it was a fantastic challenge almost in the halfway line to win the ball back and then to drive the ball forward. I don't know if it was a great touch that Cholak had, but the finish he had was unbelievable, and it's all we've come to expect from our big Croatian number 9. It was a great start to the game, and I feel like I've said this a few times already this season. I was expecting us to kind of pick on from there, but it just didn't happen. But yeah, I'm glad we got the early goal in the end.
Yeah, Shug, I believe it was the earliest goal we've scored so far this season. But like Kyle said, when we have scored early in some games, you do expect us to kick on and push on and be 2 or 3 up by half time and comfort zone and then kick on again in the second half. We're just not seeing that from the team at the moment. I don't know why it is that we look pretty disjointed, don't we?
Yeah, it's, when you're saying it's the earliest goal we scored this season, I think it's the first goal we scored from a corner this season. Just when I seen Leicester appointed a set piece coach, I think we maybe need one, because I can't remember the last time we actually scored from a corner of our own. But yeah, no, it seems to be a thing with Rangers the last few years under Gerrard as well. Get that one up, they're absolutely flying. Get the breakthrough, keep going. But they don't. They just seem to be like, no, now we'll just start and we're going to a slow side to side pass and we'll wait on gaps, we'll wait on spaces, rather than saying, no, just put that team under pressure. They were sitting with 9-10 men back the whole time and they didn't look like anything on the break. So I don't know why we took the foot off the gas instead of just going and get the second, get the third. And it is really disappointing, and I don't know if it's a lack of leadership on the pitch, if it's coming from the sidelines. I don't know what it is that's stopping us from being that team that goes and puts a few past these teams and punish them.
Yeah, Kyle, it's not the first time we've scored the first goal and then appeared to kind of stop after 15, 20 minutes. We really went to new depths, though, I felt today, in terms of we really seemed to lose concentration. We really seemed to lose all creativity. We seemed to drop the pace massively. We didn't go for the jugular. We didn't go for that second goal to kill Dundee United off. It was actually quite a difficult and boring watch, actually, for the rest of that first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you and I were a bit scunnered at the performance at half time. We just no idea what's going wrong or what's happening. I don't know how professional footballers like that can just have such lethargy. I don't know if it's the coaching. I said if there's something happened or what's going on, but we had a real lack of belief in ourselves. I mean, this is an opportunity to put kind of 3 poor performances. 2 bad performances, 3 bad results, I would say, maybe behind us. And I mean, this Dundee United team, they're nothing special. I don't think it's any shock to anybody or anything scandalous saying that. But yeah, I'm not sure why it was so boring. I don't know if for me, there wasn't anything in the United tactics that stopped the ball to the middle. I don't know if it's just people not running into space or what, but something needs to change very, very quickly, because that was just not acceptable in any way, shape, or form for a performance from Rangers. But as you said, it was so boring, so one-dimensional, no ideas. Yeah, something needs to happen quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Shug, it was good to see a couple of our younger players come into the starting lineup today. Leon King at centre half, and then Charlie McCann in central midfield. I was really interested to see Charlie McCann in there, actually, because he's one that we've heard a lot about, and he's one that people have been kind of champing at the bit to get into the starting lineup for a game such as this. I thought Leon King looked solid in the first half. I think there's a wee bit to be worked on his understanding between Barisic and himself as to that channel. I think we got caught a few times with a ball in behind. But I thought Charlie McCann played really well in that first half in particular. He had some really nice touches, and he was moving the ball forward, and he was trying to play the ball into Cholak's feet and Arfield's feet, which he did really well at times, didn't he?
Yeah, he was probably the pick of our midfielders today. It was interesting listening to Kevin Thompson, who was basically saying that Charlie McCann's more of a Stephen Davis type, more the anchor of midfield, whereas today he was playing in almost the 10 role. So it was a bit out of position for him, which begs the question again that we basically see players that like to anchor a pitch on in our midfield. Don't know if that's a geo dig at the board, but saying you never got me that number 8 I needed. No, Charlie McCann he showed nice touches. He is a bit raw. I mean, I think he should have had at least 2 goals today. But one that he totally scoffs at. But it shows promise. He looks good for the future, and he looks like somebody that I'd like to see a bit more of this season. And hopefully, if we start hitting form, then he'll be getting the kind of minutes that Leon King's getting at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, firstly, your thoughts on Charlie McCann, and then thought it was interesting that they selected Charlie McCann in that number 10 role ahead of Malik Tillman. It wasn't like Malik Tillman had played a lot of minutes during the week against Napoli. What's your thoughts on that decision and why that might be?
I think overall Gio was maybe proven right in that decision today in terms of McCann's performance. I think, as Shug said, all it lacked was a goal. I know you were particularly frustrated by his lack of shooting today several times, but it's the first. I might be right in saying it might be the first or second league game he's actually started for Rangers. So is it his first start? So there's maybe a wee bit of inexperience there. He showed glimpses in the Queen of the South game. He had a wonderful pass to Adam Devine, and that lovely wee flick on for Arfield. So I think quite rightly he started today. You could see what he brings to the team. You could maybe see the idea. He was meant to be. That's somewhere I think we struggled as a link between the sort of midfield and the attacking players today. And you saw it. He's got some lovely touches. I know it's the easy comparison to make it, and I know lots of other supporters make it, but he is like a Stephen Davis type character. I think him and Davis are the only 2 players at our football club that actually have the ability to find that pass in behind. But yeah, other than a goal, I thought he was pretty good today, and I think given perhaps how Tillman's been against Ajax and he wasn't even involved in the Napoli game, or did he come on late in the Napoli game? I can't remember. I can't remember. So it's he can't have done anything to impress many people. So yeah, I think it was a good a decision I agree with from Gio, playing McCann from the start of the year.
Shug, just touching on Malik Tillman there. I think 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying pay the fee for him now. We need to get him in. Since the Celtic game, he's basically been on the bench playing very few minutes for us. Do you think Gio's trying to almost teach him a lesson a wee bit in terms of attitude and that side of things, or do you think it's just a case of form?
Well, it's something about something's not right around the club just now. I mean, Matondo's not there, and we've been told by the sources that it was nothing to do with disciplinary issues. Then what is it? Why they're not coming out and telling us what it is? Why Matondo's not involved? Kamara's not there. He was poor midweek when he came off the bench, but I don't know what's going on. Like Tillman, like you say, has dropped out of the team when the first half dozen games of the season he looked like what we need. And I think, can't remember if it was St Johnstone when he played the number 8 role and he played really well in it. And you think that that's what my thinking today against Dundee United was that we'd have somebody like Tillman in there because Lawrence isn't available. We'd have Tillman in beside Lundstrom and go from there. But just no, something's happened and he's not involved. I mean, I think I told you before that I could rant all day about things just now, but again, it comes back to this in-house media and only telling certain people things like the whole pre-match. There's nothing. The media don't get to talk to you or anything the day before the game to find out what's going on because they do their little in-house interview and you get to ask 4 or 5 nice questions and that's it. So, don't know, something. Sorry, I'm ranting on about something completely different, but Tillman, yeah, I don't know. Don't know what's happened in the eyes of Gio and why he's not being given the minutes anymore.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we all suspect there's something going on inside the club behind closed doors, but I don't think any of us quite know what it is or can quite put our finger on it just yet. Half time went in 1-0 up. As we've kind of discussed at length, I guess it was kind of a bit of a nothing half after that first 15 minutes. We were wanting to come back out and play it and be playing a bit more expansive football, be a bit more free flowing, attacking the Dundee United goal and playing some forward passes, which seemed to evade us for a lot of the first half as well. We just seemed to back and forward across the defence into Lundstrom, back to defence. It was just kind of a bit of a nothingness in that sense. But we came out and, like in the first half, we had a quick start again. Couple of minutes in, ball breaks to Borna Barisic out wide. He plays another nice ball. He's played quite a few nice balls at the moment in behind the defence between the defenders and the goalkeeper. Cholak comes across and a really nice finish, Kyle, wasn't it, for 2-0? And I know there's been a lot of criticism or a lot of spotlight on Ross Wilson's recruitment strategy, but it seems that Antonio Cholak, or Tony Goals as we like to refer to him between ourselves, he seems to be a big tick on that front, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been the one positive I think throughout the whole season that we can sort of say. If we said the same with Roof in the last couple of years, if you give him chances, he'll score. It was a really, really good ball into the box from Borna. If I remember, it was a good flick on from Kent that set Borna up, and he's put it right in that. And it's one of those cliched phrases, the corridor of uncertainty, isn't it? Right between the goalkeeper and the backs of the central defenders and the 6-yard box. So, but Cholak is to run across and just nick in and finish it. It's only what we've come to expect from him. And I think you said earlier on that's 9 goals in 13 games. I think if we went off to as poor a start as what we'd had this season, we'd all be ranting and raving about Antonio Cholak. So yeah, it's one of the few positives that we can take from the game, and for once I actually agreed with the with the sponsors man of the match at the ground today. So yeah, I think it was a great goal.
I'm not sure the sponsors had much choice, to be fair. I'm not sure there was much outside of Antonio Cholak. I'm not sure there was anyone really in there that covered themselves in glory. Shug, one of the players Kyle mentioned there was Ryan Kent. I'm becoming increasingly frustrated with Ryan Kent, and I'm normally a pretty placid guy. I'm becoming increasingly frustrated with Ryan Kent. He seems to be absent of any confidence. He doesn't seem to want to run at defenders. When he does it at the wrong time. And when he gets past one, he tends to check back and try and beat that defender plus the other 2 that have finally arrived. He tries to beat them all again, and ultimately loses the ball. And when he's not doing that, and when he's lacking a wee bit of confidence, or he's lost the ball a few times, he then just starts turning back and playing the ball back to Borna Barisic, who then goes back to Connor Goldson, and we lose all momentum in attack. I guess the question is, what do we do about Ryan Kent? Because it seems like we all know what player he can be. We paid a decent chunk of change for him, but it feels like he's not been there at all this season, really, in terms of form. What do we do with him?
Ryan who? I don't know who you're talking about. This guy, it's that them poster that's playing our left hand side just now. absolutely shocking that he's getting game after game. I've heard about people playing their way into form, but it's just the same every single game from Ryan Kent just now. And I don't know if he's already made the decision that he's leaving at the end of the season. I mean, last season with Goldson got out of contract at the end of the season, Goldson played and gave his all throughout the season, and then he ended up did sign the contract. But Ryan Kent looks like it's just down tools. No, Gav is a big fan of Ryan Kent, or the 55 Ryan Kent, but 55 is a long time ago now. And he didn't show up much last season. He's definitely not showed up this season. I'm admittedly a fan from the man from Serbia. I think he lacks the skills that Ryan Kent's got, but one thing he doesn't lack is effort, and his numbers, goals, assists seem to outstrip Ryan Kent by a million miles per minute. So we've got Matondo can play on that left hand side as well. I don't know what the crack is with Yilmaz, whether he can play there. Lawrence, when he's fit, can play there. We seem to have options on that side, but we constantly go back to Kent. And I would be I know it's international break now, but if we had a game midweek or next weekend, I'd be very disappointed if Ryan Kent was stopped.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Kyle, do you think there's a bit of blindness to Ryan Kent's form, or do you reckon it is just a case of the management trying to play him into form, or actually that they don't really trust any of the other options?
I think there's maybe a bit of truth in all three things you've said there, to be honest with you. I think I've talked about this previously on podcasts before, and he's not really got anybody challenging him. For me, that's the biggest issue is Sakala. His numbers. Off the top of my head, I can't remember his numbers, but I remember looking at them and going, "That's pretty decent." I didn't remember him being quite that good. Now I'm not saying he's the answer or whatever, but there's nobody challenging Kent in any profession, any walk of life. If you've not got somebody challenging you and pushing you to do the best you can do, you naturally you'll just down tools. Not everybody's like that. You do get exceptions in football in terms of their mentality, but it's not the first time a manager. I seem to remember Gerrard getting criticised of this quite a lot as well, of having a wee blind spot for players like Goldson, like Tav, like Kent. For me, he needs to be taken out of the team and needs to be given a rest. I think this internationals break is. I mean, I normally hate the international break. I'm not a particularly big fan of international football, but I think this has come at a right good time for Rangers. Off the top of my head, I don't think we'll have too many players going away on international duty. And I think this is a time that the squad, the management team have really got to sit down and take a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror and ask some tough questions of themselves, because it's getting to the stage where it's some of the players are putting in performances that are not acceptable at Rangers Football Club, and it's as simple as that. And I saw it on Twitter, maybe a slight leaning towards a few people in the Geo out camp. I'm not quite there yet myself, but there's got to be big changes in the next couple of weeks, and we've got to take that opportunity. And Ryan Kent's one of the players that's got to take a look at himself in that situation.
Yeah, Shug, I think the next key moment in the game was actually the Dundee United goal, which just seemed a series of errors from ourselves that felt in the stadium anyway that it could have been stopped at numerous points in their attack. And then it felt, coming back to Ryan Kent, I guess, that he kind of left his man, he left the fullback that was running down the right hand side and left Borna 2-on-1. Effectively, Borna was tucking in as he should as a fullback to protect his centre half. And it was to be fair to the boy, it's a good finish, but I think even in the stadium we felt it coming. I'm not sure. It'd be interested to get your view watching it from home.
Yeah, my stream was kind of lagging at that point, so I've got bits and pieces of it. Thought Leon King obviously get driven out of position going across the cover. From that point of view, I think he gets turned a bit too easily, but no midfielder, considering with Lundstrom and Jack, two holding midfielders, nobody dropped into King's position and he's dragged across the park. So Bornas left to cover centre half And like you say, Ryan Kent's not come back covering their fullback, which is not the first time. I know a lot of people were big fans of Kent because of his defensive work, but like you say, he didn't come back covering their fullback. So Bonner's left 2-on-1. McGregor, I've heard some criticism of McGregor at the goal. I don't think many keepers save it. It's a good strike, gets a touch to it, but it was a powerful strike. But it was coming. It just felt that way that the longer things were going on, we weren't putting this game away, that it was going to come, and we'd sunk back into the we've scored so we can sit back and relax now mode again. So again, I don't know. I think we only made 2 substitutes today. You're allowed 5, so I don't know. Should Gio not be making them changes? Should he not be like, people aren't playing well enough? You're off, and you're on. Especially Kent, when Kent was having a mare the whole game, he had the options on the bench to change him. I think when Kyle's talking about stats and things like that, I'm sure when we were talking earlier in the season, Sakala was like 112 minutes per goal contribution or something, and Morelos was 120 or something. I don't know what Kent was, probably about 300 and something. Maybe 500, I'm not sure. But I know Sakala was poor against Queen of the South, but he was on the bench. Give anyone a run, try and liven it up and stuff, try and make a difference. But I'm the same as Kyle, it's too soon for Gio out, but he's not helping himself just now.
Yeah, Kyle, I think it's safe to say the Dundee United goal did feel like it was coming in the stadium, but it definitely ramped up the nervousness as well, and the anxiousness amongst the Rangers fans for the final 20, I think it was 60 minutes roughly that they scored. So I think the final 28, 29 minutes of the game were definitely full of nerves. Just wanted to get your thoughts on those final 30 minutes or so. I don't think we handled it particularly well as a team. Dundee United were counter-attacking on us at will. We missed quite a few chances. I've got in capital letters in my notes, why won't Charlie McCann shoot?
Yeah.
I just think it was, and I've also got why is Alfredo Morelos not in the park, touching on Shug's point about the subs. I just think all round it was so disjointed, so disappointing to watch, and it did not fill me or I think anyone else in the stadium with confidence as we head into the international break.
Yeah, the last 30 minutes were again just a repeat of the last 30 minutes of the first half, weren't they? It was just so lethargic and it was just so turgid at times. The substitutions that Gio made when he took Arfield and Jack off, I don't think I could have too many complaints about the personnel that he took off. I don't think Arfield would had a particularly good game today. Ryan Jack was okay in spells. I thought, who came on? Scott Wright came on. I was a bit scunnered again myself when Scott Wright come on. I was expecting maybe somebody else like a Morelos or something like that come on, and Tillman was the other change. I don't think I can have too many complaints about that one. For what it's worth, I thought Tillman was okay at points. He made a few good tackles. He had a ball that was quite good into the box for Cholak, I think it was, but it was just a wee bit too much on it. But I mean, when it's 91 minutes, 92 minutes, we've got the ball in the corner from a corner that we've gained, and then there's 30 seconds of the game left, and then the ball's all of a sudden on the Dundee United right, and they're attacking, and it's not good. Again, I feel like total deja vu from 2 years ago, but our game management in these instances, it's got to be better. It's just a case of holding on to the ball, feel the nudge on your back and go down and get the foul. It's just about being cleverer. It was another honking 30 minutes of football to watch, and as a supporter and any neutral watching that game, I watched the highlights. It's not good enough.
Yeah, a honking 30 minutes of football to watch. I think that pretty much sums up most of that game. Just sorry, Shag, on you go.
I was just going to say, when Kyle's bringing up a good point, as Kevin Thompson brought it up in commentary. If you remember when Leon King took his booking, and then the Dundee United team went crazy about, I don't know what they're expecting a red card. I don't know what this is getting to football, but Borna Barisic ends up getting booked. It actually gave the crowd a rise. I mean, you say that feeling when you, so I know more than know what it's like to feel when the stadium gets tense and that's when you feel that the other team are going to score. That for me is a perfect time for Gio to say, right, get Morelos on, because it gives that stadium a lift. It changes the atmosphere. But I don't know, not using that opportunity or putting on, maybe it wasn't the right game to bring Ridvan on or something, but making a change to try and get the fans excited and tune back into the game and look forward to something. It's just something to change that atmosphere and get it back on our side and get the fans up again. And just something that we didn't take advantage of. Like I said, 2 subs out of 5. It's just not. It's disappointing. I'm disappointed seems to be my word of the day. That's what was on my toilet paper this morning, my special one toilet paper. My big words, disappointed.
That's fair enough, and I think it definitely suits how a lot of us are feeling. We've just touched on the half an hour mark of the podcast, so just to round it up with one question for you both, based upon an interview with Gio that I heard on the radio on the way back in. He was asked how confident he was that he has a squad to compete for and win the league title. He said he was confident that he had the squad to do that. I don't get the feeling that's the general understanding or what the general feeling is amongst Rangers fans on the whole. Shug, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that first of all. Do you feel that we have the squad to compete for and win the league title this season?
I think we've got the squad to finish second, no problem. But to get to Celtic's level, there needs to be a mentality shift within that squad. I think the players have got the ability, but something needs to change. We've changed too much, and maybe we just need a settled team or something. Players playing the same position game to game. But yeah, Gio's a lot more confident than me right now.
Kyle, same question to you. Are you confident, or do you feel any confidence at all that we have a squad to compete and win the league title?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was in the car with you the way back home, and it was a bit of a loaded question from the BBC reporter. But I mean, Gio's not going to say anything but yes, I've got the squad to win the league. He might say he had the confidence, but he didn't sound confident. Yeah, I think so. At this moment in time, absolutely not. But I'm going to steal a bit of Gio's answer and say it's a long season. We've still got 30 odd games to play. Anything can happen. We've got January to tweak things. Maybe the World Cup might be a wee bit of a blessing in disguise this year. But at the moment, no, I certainly don't feel that way. But I hope Gio's right.
Yeah. So I think that's. I think we'll probably round it off there.
Yeah, can I just say that before, because one of the big things that is going to be thrown against us, I've seen it on Twitter, was that this Dundee United team get pumped by them and they get pumped by Altmore. This is a different Dundee United team. They've got some quality players in there, Levitt, McGrath midfield, and since they get rid of Jack Ross, they won 2-1 at Livy and they drew 0-0 at Motherwell, so it's a different team to the one that they had to play against, but yes, not excusing our performance, but I wouldn't get too carried away with looking at the previous scorelines.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kyle and myself both commented how well organised they looked as a team, especially in defence, and completely different to the team that just gave up after 30 minutes against the other side of the city. So I think I completely agree. I don't think people can look at it as direct comparisons. Main thing is we got the win today. It breaks that run of 3 defeats. We head into the international break, giving the squad some time to get people with injuries back. I believe Tom Lawrence, they said, is pretty close to coming back. The Hearts game might come a wee bit too soon for him, but he'll definitely be available after that. I think a few more. I think Kamar Roof's on his way back as well. I'm not sure how I feel knowing that our first 2 games back after the international break are Hearts away and then Liverpool away. That doesn't fill me with a great deal of confidence, but I'm going to look on the bright side. It's a Saturday night, Rangers have won, and we've got 3 points in the bag. So, Shug, thanks very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure.
And Kyle, thanks very much for joining us as well.
Yeah, at least we had a win this time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Remember, we've got a whole host of shows still coming up on the TII network. Scott Patterson, Tommy McIntyre are both joined tomorrow night for our Sunday night live podcast at 8 p.m. across YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. They're joined by football finance expert Kevin Maguire. Kieran Maguire, sorry, I knew I'd get that wrong. I said it wrong about 4 times. They're joined by Kieran Maguire tomorrow night to discuss all things Rangers finances, looking back over the last years, where the supposed £100 million that we've earned over the last 12 months might be going or might have gone, and much more into that. So make sure you tune in to that tomorrow night. Please remember to subscribe to the TII YouTube channel and turn on those notifications so you get an email every time we go live. Until next time, goodbye.